Hello guys, welcome to the 11th video of our Python playlist, and in this video we will discuss the while loops and some statements which we can use in loops. So far in the previous video we learned about why we use loops. We use loops when we have to iterate through our data structure, or we have to execute a same code several times. So for that we use range function, and we also discussed an example in our previous video. So right now, in continuation to the previous things that we discussed, let's say I have a list, and in that list I have, for example, 5 names: John, Simon, Stephen, Robert, and Allison. So the problem is that I have to search a name inside this list. So there are two possibilities. One is that we can, in Python it is easy to find an element inside a list or in a data structure. We can just use the conditional statement. But if we discuss about other programming languages also, so we have to iterate through the data structure, and then we have to compare each index position value with the search value, and if the value is found, then we have to print that that specific value is found. Previously when we discussed list, what I did, for example, I should write name is equal to input, enter a name you want to search, right? So afterwards I can write if name in L, then what should be happen? Print the name is found, right? So if I run this, I search John, else name, else print name is not found, right? So let me print the list first so that we can see that. So the thing is that if I write John, now we can see that the name is found is printed. And if I run this again and I write, for example, Smith, so name is not found is printed. So by using loop, what we can do? In Python, we don't need it basically, but if we discuss in other programming languages, we should know that how we can perform the same functionality by using a loop. So let me comment this, and what I can do is that for I in L, just we discussed in the previous video for X in L, right? We have to compare if, I just have to uncomment this, if name equal I, then we should print that the name must be found. Print the name is found basically. Else, what should we print? That name not found. Name not found. So if I run this code now, so let me search Simon now. So it is saying name is not found, the name is found, name is not found, not found, not found. It means that it is printing after every iteration or every execution of the loop. So what we can do? We can perform two different things. One is that we can create a Boolean variable. Let me see, found is a Boolean variable and it has stored false in it. So just what we can do, we can just turn found is equal to true, and we should not write anything in the else statement. Or what we can do is that we can write a condition statement over here. If found equal true, then what should happen? It should print the name is found. But if I run this, so let me search Simon, and the name is found is printed. But the problem is that, let's say that Simon is found in the second index, and it means the index position 1. And the thing is that I want the loop to break if Simon is found. Like, for example, it is a list of 5 and we have a list of 1000 and Simon is found in the second index position. So the problem is that the loop will have to execute 1000 times. So for that, we can terminate a loop. For terminating a loop, we use break statement or break call, you can say. So for that, we just have to write break over here, and let me write an else statement now just to show the working of break. Not found, and no need of this now. So if I run this, so you guys can see that if I search Stephen, so it is saying not found, and then it is doing nothing. Or I should write found over here, print found. And here I should write Stephen. So you guys can see that in the first index we didn't found John. In the second one, Simon was present, Stephen was not there. But in the third index, we had Stephen. So what happened? That when Stephen was found, the loop terminated, and it does not need it to be searching any other appearance. So this is how we can use the break statement. Another thing that we can use is that we can skip a line of code. For example, I have a list saying numbers, and in that list I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the thing is that I want to find sum of the numbers as you total, I think. Total should be better. So total is equal to 0. Now the thing is that I have to iterate through this list, the numbers list, and I just want to add the even numbers, not the odd numbers. It means that in the following list, the sum should be 12. So for that, what I have to do, I have to write for I in numbers. So what we have to do? Basically, if we divide a number, an even number by 2, then what happens that the answer of the modulus. It means the remainder of a number divided by 2 equals 0. So for that, what we can do, that if I modulus 2 not equal to 0, this means that the specific number is not an even number. So we can continue. Else, we can add total is equal to, or total plus equal I. And if I print that the total is, and here I can write total. I should comment the previous code and it can be seen. Here you go. So if I run this now, the total is 12 is printed. So this means that if the modulus is not 0, then we will not do anything. We will just skip that. Alright. To understand the work of continuous statement, what we can do, that I can print only the even numbers, or what I can do is that, for example, I write, instead of this, I write for I in range 100, if I modulus 2 equals 0, then continue, else just print that number. So what will happen, that the even numbers will not be printed from 0 to 99, but the odd numbers will be printed. So you guys can see that from 1 to 99, only the odd numbers are printed. So this was the use of the continuous statement. Now, let me come back to the while loop. For example, why we use a while loop? While loop is an alternative of for loop, and it is also used for the validation checks. It is easy to basically write the conditions on the basis of which the loop should run. The thing is that, let me write a code. It will just printing the first 10 values. So what I can do, I can initialize the variable I is equal to 0. Then I have to write while I is lesser than 10. Then what should happen? We should print I. Now the problem is that we have I is equal to 0, and if I equal to 0, this means that 0 is lesser than 10, right? So as 0 is lesser than 10, this means that this condition satisfies, and then print I will be happening. And we are not incrementing or decrementing I, so that's why the problem will be that the loop will run infinitely. So what we have to do, we have to increment I. We have to increment I. We will write I plus equal 1. So basically, what is I is equal to 0? This is the starting point. And this is the condition. And this is the increment. So if we discuss about the range function, so in that, this is S, N, and I. So this is I over here. This is N, and this is I. So if I run this now, so you guys can see that after every iteration, after every iteration, there is an increment of 1 in the value of I. So the while loop is basically used for the validation checks. What are the validation checks? Validation checks are used when we have to make sure that a user is entering, or the user must enter the correct value, the value we need. But if the user is not entering a correct value, we should make sure that the user will only enter the valid value. Thing is that let's say a student is asked to enter a 2-digit number, right? So let me take an variable n is equal to integer input, enter a 2-digit number. And if n is less than 10, this means if n is less than 10 or n is greater than 99, then what should happen? That it should ask again that enter a valid 2-digit number. Why I wrote n less than 10 or n greater than 99? Because these are the wrong inputs. We should give the conditional statements the wrong inputs if we want to validate a value, if we want to make sure that our user must enter a correct value. So the thing is that if a user had entered, for example, 5, so 5 is a single digit number, right? So in that case, the value is invalid, and we will come to the body of the conditional statement. And if n is greater than 99, it means it is 100 or more, then we will again come to the conditional statements, the body of the conditional statement. If I run this, so you guys can see that if I enter 23, then it does nothing, because we are not doing anything if a person has entered a valid 2-digit number. But if I enter 6 and then again I enter a single digit number, which is 3, then it is not asking me to enter a 2-digit number. The problem is that I have entered 3. It is a single digit number. So for that, we just need a while loop, and let's see what happens. I am not going to do anything else. I am just copying these lines to here, commenting these lines. Here you go. And just I am going to change this if condition to while loop. And if I will run this now, let's say I enter 6. It is asking me to enter a valid 2-digit number. I enter 2. It is asking me again to enter a 2-digit number. 143. It is asking me again to enter a 2-digit number, and let me write 434. So it is doing nothing. Now I should write over here after the loop that print 2-digit number entered, and that is n. So now if I run this, 6, error, 134, error, 143, error, 10, it is a valid 2-digit number. If I enter this, 2-digit number entered, 10. So, and we can also make sure that, for example, I take a string s is equal to input, enter a name with length 6. So while len s is lesser than 6, then we have to take the input again and print the correct entered name is. So I have done the mistake right now. I want the user to enter the name is S. I have done a mistake here. I want the user to enter a 6 length string, but I am going inside the loop, inside the while loop, that if the length, for example, the person enters John, so it has a length, the length 4, right? It has the length 4, but we want the length of 6. So in case it enters John, it is coming inside the loop. But we just want that if the length is not 6, not 6 means that if it is even Stephen, then it should give an error. So for that, I have to change this to if while length not equal to 6, that it is not 6, then we have to take the input again. So if I run this now, I must write TOEFL. So it is saying the correct enter name is TOEFL. And if I run this again, and let's say that I write John over here, it is giving an error. And let me write valid over here, enter a valid name with length 6 so that we can distinguish easily. So if I write John, it is giving error. If I write Stephen, it is giving error. But if I write TOEFL, so it is saying that the correct entered name is TOEFL. So I hope you guys got the concepts for the loops. We discussed in detail about the break statements and continue statements. We can use them in the while loop also. And in this video, we discussed about the while loop, how to use a while loop in the validation checks. So I hope you guys got these concepts. So see you guys until the next video. Take care. Goodbye.